Whoa!
Hello, this is the front desk.
Good morning and welcome to episode 56 of the Cracking Backs podcast with your hosts, Dr. Terry Wyman and Dr. Spencer Barron. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good, Lance.
You're good, buddy.
Awesome here. So today we are joined by Dr. Mark Sanna. Dr. Mark is the founder of Breakthrough Coaching, a practice management consulting and personal coaching firm that teaches an outcome-based, functionality-oriented system of procedures that focuses on preparing chiropractors to become the primary providers of the prevention and wellness services driving healthcare reform today. How are you doing this morning, Dr. Mark?
Great, Lance. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep. Go ahead.
No, go
Terry.
ahead. No,
I'm jumping
You're
out of the
fired.
blocks
You're
here, man.
fired
I
up,
can't
man.
wait to talk to Mark.
Yeah, I'm just excited.
Go ahead. You go first.
I've been seeing your name in print forever, so I am so excited and proud. Not only proud to be in the same profession with you, but I'm really stoked to be on the show with you and actually finally meet you. And I'm trying to hold the bull on the southern Florida back bill, but I'm just gonna let him go, man.
Here you go,
Here
man.
you go.
I got to tell you, Mark. I was mentioning earlier too. Whenever, like, if I'm talking to Terry about a guest that he hasn't met, or vice versa, it always seems so much bigger. But you know what happens? While I'm telling him about you, it's resurrecting all these thoughts and feelings that I had as a young chiropractor, being part of your business acumen and approach to not just being a chiropractor, being a businessman in the world of chiropractic. And so even though when Lance did the introduction about you doing this for chiropractors, you know what? Your stuff is applicable to any healthcare provider for the most part, and especially now. So we're going to unleash Mark Sanna. Dr. Sanna is unleashed.
Nice. You know, Spence, you and I go way back. Way back. I'm trying to think of how many years, but it's a lot of years. I love keeping up with your sunrise walks or runs on the beach every morning.
Awesome.
Like, where in the world is Spencer now? So super fun.
Yeah, I think I still have an abacus that keeps up with his stuff too. You know.
Well, Mark is going to teach you how to use a calculator after this.
Wow, I'm good.
Slide rule. Yeah.
Right.
Mark, how did you get into the business side and be able to work and help people and write? And good Lord, I can't keep up with you. You're like a lecturer, author, chiropractor, businessman. I mean, I'm exhausted reading your resume. So, not only how do you find the energy, but God, how did you get started?
Well, I was really fortunate that I'm a chiropractic kid. So I was born into chiropractic.
Oh,
wow. Most folks take a journey and discover chiropractic, and they have these amazing chiropractic stories. I have my own chiropractic story that is maybe a little more unusual than most, is that my chiropractic experience actually started in my first moments on the planet. And Spencer, I don't even know if I've shared this with you or if I've really shared it publicly before, but I was actually born a blue baby. And what that means is the baby's not getting oxygen. And so the baby's face actually turns blue. And so this is years back. I'm not going to tell you how many years back, but it's years back, when, not like today, where chiropractors, are really have parity with medical doctors and not only are invited into the birth process, but actually sometimes perform the birth process. Back then, they actually, because my dad was a chiropractor, kept him out of the room.
Oh, wow.
And so he's looking through the glass and he's seeing what's transpiring inside. And here's his little baby on the bed um, not breathing. And so he opens the door. They try to shush him away. This is totally serious. He actually has to break past the doctor, gets to me, adjusts me, and I breathe in.
Oh my God.
And, and that my first breath on the planet is because of chiropractic and my dad.
Mm.
Love
And
that.
so, you'll hear and probably you feel that, and I say it all the time, I owe everything in my life to chiropractic, right?
Wow.
My career,
Wow.
how I look at health, how I think and reason. We're wired differently as chiropractors. We look at things from a different perspective. That's
Yeah.
what makes us great, right?
Yep.
And I could say I owe my life, right? Really owe my life to chiropractic.
Wow.
That is,
Yeah,
I didn't hear that story.
yeah,
A-
it's a
and that's a testimony to all the pediatricians that think, or obstetricians that don't understand chiropractic's effect
Totally.
and power on the infant.
yeah,
Totally.
uh, absolutely. I do a lot of speaking like Spence, and one of my favorite topics is oxygen, and so
Mm.
it really that's the genesis of that story is my relationship with chiropractic began with oxygen, right? And um, you guys know every system in the body runs on oxygen. If we don't have oxygen, your brain doesn't function. All your metabolic processes in your body, you can't digest, you can't eliminate all the things that make you work, don't work without oxygen. And key factor is posture. I mean, when you go to a chiropractor, one of the things that chiropractor is going to do is check your posture. So, you know, why are they doing that? Why is the guy? Because it looks nice to stand tall. Yeah, sure. Right? But they say, good posture sexy. It is. It is. Yeah. Um, but the reason they're checking it, because when your head goes forward, you look at the person next to you, or next time you look at somebody, look at them sideways. Their ears are in front of their shoulders,
Mhm.
and every inch that head goes forward, it's another 10 pounds squashing on your neck and on all the soft stuff inside your lungs, your heart.
Mm.
And so when your head is being carried forward, you are not breathing. Your lungs cannot expand. Your rib cage is constricted. Can't expand the way that it does. You can't get oxygen in. And that is a significant factor in terms of health, longevity. There's so much science, health,
Love it.
longevity, your ability to be able to function and think properly. So next time you get an adjustment from your chiropractor, you're not just getting looser and relieving stress. You're actually affecting your physiology because you're getting oxygen back in your
Mm.
body. Big deal. Think of the baby getting oxygen.
Yeah, I think it's great, and it's interesting because guys like Terry, he treats a lot of high profile people, and so he understands how to communicate with that level of intelligence, or that ability to
Certainty.
motivate people.
Yeah.
And that is one of the biggest things. If you can take these storylines and
Mm.
inspire people, that's
Totally.
kind of the best.
Totally.
It
Yeah,
really is.
people connect with stories. They get it. And some of the best communicators are the best storytellers. You could
Oh,
sit
that's
and
so
listen to them
true.
forever. We're talking before we started about how great it is at our events, our chiropractic events, seminars, and folks. I'm sure you may have been to an event that you've gone, and maybe you saw a speaker, and the best conversation happens at the bar, sitting there
Oh, totally.
afterwards, just chatting and processing it. And some of those guys and gals, man, you could just sit and soak up that wisdom.
Totally.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt. So, Mark, can you share with the listening audience, how you, Well, how you gotten into practice management, and then more like life management,
Mm,
and
yeah.
it just happens to be in the practice.
Yeah. So how I started in practice management, and again, we're going back 25 years now, is I was probably one of the first doctors in the country to have on my chiropractic staff both medical doctors, physical therapists, massage therapists, acupuncturists, and nutritionists. So we had a wellness center
Mm.
uh, back in the late 80s.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And talk about uh, where if you want to know like the state of the art of healthcare right now, people look at the Mayo Clinic, right? And the Mayo Clinic model is it's a transparent medical record, meaning your chiropractor, your neurologist, your endocrinologist, your orthopedist all work off the same chart, right? They call it collaboration or collaborative care. So my idea way back when was to have collaboration between the professions because
Mm.
what we do great, medical doctors don't do great. And what they do great, we don't wanna do.
Right.
And so there's right?
Yeah.
Great thing about chiropractic office, nobody bleeds, nobody dies, not too many people cry, right? Lots of hugs,
Yeah.
lots of laughter,
Yeah.
not too many people die. In
Right.
fact,
Right
almost
on.
nobody ever dies, right?
Right on.
Right.
And,
Right.
not so true if you're in the hospital. So medical doctors love working with chiropractors because it's upbeat. Our philosophy, right? Health comes from inside,
Yeah.
not outside. They know that. They know innately uh, what can be done. So, I'm super proud of the fact that way back when it wasn't easy to do to communicate between the two professions, the two branches of healthcare, right?
Yeah.
Allopathic and traditional chiropractic. And I did. And because of that, I got some recognition, got a little bit of success, and people asked me to start reproducing that and helping
Mm.
them reproduce that. And that was the nexus of me becoming a business. And I always liked business. Um, whatever you're into, um, finances, personal finances are essential. So many of us get to 40, 50, 60 years old and they go like, holy crap, I forgot to play. Or you watch the television commercial. It's like, and have you funded your 401k? And you're like, oh my God, I don't even have a whatever. Right.
Right.
So I was really big and probably came from my upbringing of we didn't come from a lot of money and we're smart with money, careful with money, and didn't spend money, without thinking about it as family. And so I always had the knew the value of a dollar, right? And it's like, Spencer and I know we're in Vegas all the time, not necessarily by choice, but because that's where the biggest audiences come to hear us speak. And so I cannot tell you, I've been to Vegas more time. I've been to Vegas 3 times this year, and we're in the beginning of the year. So, and, I've never put I don't think you can put a quarter in a slot machine anymore, but I've never put any money any money in a slot machine or at a table or anything. I don't do it,
Yeah.
and the reason I don't do it is because I value my money, too much, to just kinda, throw it away. I say life is risky enough. Yeah, I don't need artificial stimulation,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
So true.
so from that, I realized that teaching people, whether they're chiropractors or school teachers, how important it is to manage their finances. And also, if you are a business person, not having your personal finances and your business finances all intertwined and squirrely, um, which a lot of people do. So you don't really know, you know, am I profitable? Am I not? I got cash flow, yeah, but am I profitable, right? Or am I as profitable as I should be? But anyway, so looking at that, and once you know that, knowing, okay, what am I going to put aside? I talk a lot about what's my number, right? What's your number means like, what's your done number? When will you have enough liquid cash in the bank in your investment accounts in order to generate enough income, throw off enough income to support your lifestyle, right? Because Social Security is not going to cut it, guys. Um,
Right.
so that kind of financial doorway through healthcare is what inspired me to really be a
Mm,
coach.
mm.
That's great. So, Mark, have you seen this transition over the many years, from, with breakthrough coaching, or, your disciples, that what you've taught them back then based on what you teach them now? I mean, some things are standard, but, to keep with the flow of things, is there anything that you like to educate people on business wise?
Yeah, I think any business, actually, technology, we're a really interesting profession, chiropractor. It's a really unique profession. I think it's what makes it one of the most fascinating um, professions. Is we are very high touch, but also very high tech, and
Mm.
that doesn't come together very often, right? So technology is growing in leaps and bounds. um, you know, Spencer and I know we grew up, and Terry, I'm sure you might have also. You're a little younger than both of us, but your documentation, the chiropractic patient record, I'm not joking, was an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardboard bent in half,
Yeah.
written in hieroglyphics, called a travel card. And you would give this thing to the patient and they would walk through the office, right?
Yeah.
And you put the stuff on it. And it's like, oh my gosh, that was documentation. Swear to God. And then, every now and then one would get sucked into a black hole. So you'd have no idea where this travel card went. Like, it's obvious it's in the office somewhere, but it's in between something or in
Oh
something.
yeah.
And there would be like the mad search. And so the patient would come back with a blank travel card and you would just
Yep.
take it, okay, and we'll figure this out.
Oh
Um,
my.
and now, not only that we report, obviously, through electronic health records, but actually that data, that great big huge data that we produce, is actually able to be mined, collected, aggregated. And so the anecdotal clinical stories that we have known and shared with our patients and our communities for years, like pregnancy, like somebody just couldn't get pregnant. They finally gave up. They did fertility, all kinds of stuff, very, very expensive. Gave up, saw a chiropractor for low back issue, and a few months later they say, "Oh my God, I'm pregnant." What's that all about? Bedwetting, same exact thing, right? Little kids. And it's you know not a small issue if you're 10 or 8
Or
and
or
you can't
or Spencer's age.
or spend or and you can't go on sleepovers and all of that, right?
There's always depends. There's
Always
always
Yeah,
depends.
that's true.
always different.
That's true.
Um, it's a big deal. And to know that chiropractic helps with everything from the colicky baby,
Yeah.
all the way on to folks who have sciatica and other musculoskeletal things. But now the data is there, right? And in the data they're aggregating and mining shows, without a doubt, hands-on chiropractic is faster. It's certainly way less expensive than it's just through the anesthesiologist bill from a surgery. Think about
Mhm.
that. That
Mhm.
your chiropractic bill costs that much of that, right?
Mhm.
But now being able to use that and fight for, parity and reimbursement, because not every insurance company views chiropractic as a money saver. They see it, some of it, as like a money spender. But when they have chiropractic on their plan, oh my goodness, so much better the outcomes are. People are so much more satisfied. And so we now, with technology, have the data to be able to do that. So what's changed over the years? Technology, for sure. I don't think a lot of people know that your chiropractor comes out of chiropractic college with $250,000 in student loan debt.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I was
that
going to bring that up. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of them are, a lot of folks don't know that you do a bachelor's and then you do a doctorate and then you have an internship. They don't know that. They kind of think, well, you maybe it's a a degree that you can take kind of like a undergrad degree. And so 250K, that's a lot of money. Chiropractors are 50, 55 before they've actually paid off their student loans, many
Mm.
of them. So that's an issue that we have to address, um, because it has to be right, in order for us to encourage students to invest that kind of money in themselves. You know, to become a chiropractor, the greatest profession in the planet. But you again, you got to be smart, save your money, don't buy the new Tesla right away, and pay off those student loans fast,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
It's a big deal. So
So,
those are
Mark,
conversations we have now that we didn't used to have so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark, I want to have us all take a big step back and look at healthcare as just in general as a profession, and how the advent of telemedicine has actually been beneficial to chiropractors because we are hands on, whereas now doctors are more hands off than ever before and losing a lot of the dimension of an exam and all that. And then there's reimbursement by insurance is not very
Yeah.
Profitable.
not very good. I was going to
Right.
say profitable, but not good at
Yeah.
all. So, what would you say, to a healthcare profession that, I mean, just in general, as a business model, are there certain things that you would put out there as being paramount to the success of a business?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. In terms of, again, 30,000 feet, big picture,
Mhm.
uh, COVID was probably one of the most significant, best things that happened to the chiropractic profession.
Yep.
Obviously, there's lots of other things that were not really wonderful about COVID, but what was wonderful is chiropractors were actually designated as
Yes.
Mm.
essential healthcare providers. So we were never called essential. Oh my gosh, ever.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so I don't know if you tried to make a medical doctor appointment during COVID, but guess what? They weren't seeing you. They were doing the stupid
Right.
tele
Right. Right.
thing in
Telemedicine.
your way in, and the guy's like comes on and he doesn't know how to work it, right? And you're like, oh my God, this is horrible.
Right.
And chiropractors were there. They were
Right.
in the office. They
Right.
stayed in the office. And our docs, chiropractors all over the country, no matter where you were, saw more new patients than ever before during COVID because A, we were there, and B, when you're under the kind of psychological stress, that pressure cooker that COVID put people under, and still hasn't gone away, by the way.
Mhm.
Um, the body begins to fail under stress.
Yeah.
It fails musculoskeletal wise with aches and pains, digestive, sleep's a big one. People
Mhm.
slept horrible. They lost
Mm.
routine, horrible. People sleep better with chiropractic care, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
people came to their chiropractors and they were better able to cope. And I'm a big believer, although the research is clinical and not yet published, although it's coming on the immune system. I know that when
Mhm.
I'm adjusted, I don't get sick. Spence, we don't get the
Mhm.
colds and the flus and the stuff that other
Mhm.
people get. And if you get it, it's like gone in a day, right? It's
Right.
like,
Good.
so you can't tell me there's not some kind of connection between immune function and having your nervous system functioning properly. I mean,
No.
it just makes common sense. So in terms of healthcare providers, I think there's a few things that are really key. I think number one is you mentioned it, and that's insurance reimbursement. Is the graph is going down? It's not going up, and that means that listen. So when I tell you my dad is a chiropractor, he always used to say, "Mark, I practiced before there was insurance coverage, during insurance coverage, and after they took insurance coverage away." Right. So the fact is that you do have to be able to communicate what you do to patients because they're spending their discretionary income on their
Mhm.
health.
Mhm.
And, a lot of people don't make themselves a priority,
Mhm.
right? They'll spend it on other necessities in life. But what's the bigger necessity than your health? There isn't one.
There is one.
You know,
No.
you hear everybody say, without your health, you got nothing, right?
Right.
And so you got to make yourself a priority. You got to set aside healthcare budget for yourself and your family. And chiropractors need to be able to communicate to patients to say, okay, why? Right? What's in it for you? Why is it worth you coming in here and getting a tune up once a month, once every 4 weeks? What's the value in that? And the value is huge. It's tremendous, right? In terms of mental focus, sleep, digestion, everything, right? Not just, oh, my back went out. Now I can't tie my tennis shoes, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's one is us being proud of the value, chiropractors being proud of the value that we deliver for the service that we offer.
Mm.
And that's a big deal and communicating it. And the other is there is safety in numbers. Is that in the olden days, you'd come out of chiropractic college, you'd put up your sign and you'd open up your office, you'd invite people in for an open house, and you'd start your practice that way. And these days, having a doctor with associates or partnerships or groups is much more normal than maybe it was years past. So I like to say it's kind of like the Batman Robin or whatever the
Mhm.
Wonder Woman, if she had a sidekick thing, would be.
Mhm.
Is that, you've got the senior chiropractor who has the diagnostic skills and the bedside manner and understanding of how to run the business. And then you have Robin, who knows technology, knows social media, can communicate, knows what
Mm.
TikTok is, right? So um, it's a great partnership. And together, I think that's really the future of health, not just chiropractic, but healthcare is this changing of the passing of the baton from the old OGs, right? That's us, to the new generation, right?
Hey, Mark, I got a question for you. How did you handle when you had all your healthcare across the country, and not just chiropractors, but all healthcare, and they were sometimes as afraid as the people coming in the door? And I think it got under their skin a little bit, and some are still in that fear factor and trying, when I will talk to them, I'm like, "What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of being sick? Well, then get adjusted. Are you afraid of dying? It's not something we can control." Yet they would still be listening to these narratives being bombarded in them, and trying to help that healthcare, whether they're brand new, they're a little older. What's your advice to the healthcare perverse person that got that narrative under their skin and doesn't know how to get out?
Well, I'm going to say some of the stuff that doesn't get said,
Mhm.
if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Number one, um, many patients were jerks. They were mean, like
Yeah.
mean to the doc. So the doctor is there
Mhm.
cleaning the freaking tables and sanitizing and wearing a damn mask all day long. I mentioned how important oxygen is, right?
Mhm.
So with this thing on, does it make sense if you can't blow the candle on the outside that you're getting the oxygen in?
Ooh,
Thing goes both ways, right?
Right.
So
that
that
was good.
so they're doing that, right?
Mhm.
And now the patients are giving them crap
Mhm.
about, I had to wait for my appointment. I'm like, oh, I'm not coming in on this. And it's like, are you freaking kidding? You want to say, shut up and lie down and get the hell out of here. I'm busy.
Yeah.
Right. And so number one, they got beat up from their patients. Number two is chiropractors are really, really big on culture. When I say culture, is the the your office has a culture, meaning caring, loving, supportive, family,
Mhm.
integrity, um, going the extra mile, right? So that's our culture. And then we had all this competing narrative where staff were making more staying home, collecting unemployment than
Mm,
coming in, and then having to rebuild a staff where you put a posting on Indeed and you get 300 applicants, of which 30 swear to God that they're going to do a Zoom interview with you, of which 10 actually show up for the Zoom interview,
Mm.
of which 4 promise that they're coming in for the in-person interview, in which they all completely ghost you
Mhm.
time after time after time. So you begin to think, is it me? Is it worth it? Am I really? And I mean, I know some docs literally where the whole staff was out. And this one doctor, she actually brought her, God bless her next door neighbor with her to work the front desk. And her next door neighbor with no experience at all, right? Yeah, I can answer it. Can you answer a phone? Sure. Good. You got the job.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so her next door neighbor answered the phone and took the appointment. So these were, while I think chiropractic rose and shined during this, COVID, if anything, was a magnifying glass. You had John DeMartini on.
Mhm.
John will tell you is when you're under pressure, what's inside comes out. It's
Mhm.
just like a concentrator,
Mhm.
right? If
Mhm.
you're under economic pressure,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff is going to come out, right? If you're under pressure from COVID, where the television stations, by the way, TV from its origin, right? Like from the first TV show ever in black and white with whoever and a monkey or whatever it was not designed to inform or entertain. It was designed to sell laundry detergent. And it's still designed to sell laundry detergent today, right? So,
Mm,
no joke. If you're looking at television as a source of independent information or real information, understand that's not what it's meant to do.
right.
It's meant to entertain you. And even those folks who are on the news programs are watching their ratings or they don't get a job, right?
Right.
And so you have to be really careful with what you let in as a
Mm,
doctor or as a patient, what you let in past your filters, right? Um, it's essential because that stuff, especially TV, it's it's designed in such a seductive way, visual, auditory. You get into it. You'll see kids; they kind of zone out watching it. That the message gets way back in there in your brain um, without you being aware of it, right? Like people say, "Oh, I keep that on just for noise, background noise."
mm,
Going right in. I
hallelujah.
promise you.
Yeah.
So listen to music, right? Whatever you like in music, listen to more music than you listen to TV, please.
You
Read
know,
books.
those are really good points. In fact, I had a conversation. I'm in California, so we're in lockdown state, and which is
Yeah,
different.
Spencer and I are in Florida. We skipped COVID. We didn't
Yeah, yeah,
participate.
and Spencer and I have had some great conversations because, where I'm having, just to go to Starbucks, they're asking us to show our papers, where
Yeah.
you don't even know what that means in Florida. So, I had a good conversation a week ago with an MD who is very pro. Well, let's call it the jab for right now. Very pro jab, and my conversations with her, she goes, "Well, what's your take on it?" And I go, "Before I answer that, I'm going to ask you, give me one thing in medicine or in science that's good for 100% of the people." And when you can answer, and when yeah, but before that, but I'm like, give me one thing in medicine or in life that's good for 100% of the
Yeah, or
people.
in life. Yeah.
'Cause I know people are allergic to water. So, when you give me 100, give me that, and once you answer that question, I will continue with your question. And she couldn't answer it. And and
Yeah.
and I go, so I've been going against the grain in my town and in my area this whole time. And
You know,
I got doctors calling me going, "Wait, you're not taking temperatures? You're not taking the mask?" I go, "No, I'm actually going after health. I'm not going after that." But these
it it
doctors are
it
terrified.
it's so listen, thank good and one of the things that I said at the beginning of our conversation was as chiropractors we think differently because we're trained to think differently, right? It doesn't just happen, right? It's actually a discipline, and it is a way of looking at life. But how confusing! And thank God we know this, right? Thank God we have that. We're able to share that with folks who wouldn't get. By the way, they wouldn't get that message anywhere else, really, other than very, very few places. And that's why your conversation with your patients about oxygen is really, really key,
Mm,
right? But my point is how confusing for patients to, and I don't know if you remember, first it was don't wear a mask, and then it was wear a mask, and then it was you don't have to wear a mask, and then it was wear a mask, right? And so all of that messaging taking on just surface value, not what the true what are and we can't even get into what were the true motivations of was it really for good of the public health or not why those decisions were made. But how confusing
mm,
of something as simple as put on a mask or don't put on a mask that this thing called the CDC, which sounds like it should be some kind of an ivory tower institution, and really it's just a bunch of people trying to figure shit out. Um, And but the bottom line is that as a patient, there are few things that you could say are universal. And one thing that I can agree, we can all agree on, is that if your nervous system is functioning optimally, you're going to function better.
mhm,
Bottom line.
yeah,
And, you know, as crazy as it may sound, think of somebody who's paralyzed from the neck down and their brain's no longer communicating with their body eventually withers away, right? So, not that severe. If you have any alteration in the communication between this beautiful brain on the top of your head, inside of your head, and the rest of your body, it's going to impact the function of everything, right?
mm,
And so it these are conversations that we want to have with our patients. And when you have them, guess what? People get it. They call it the big idea in chiro. We call it the big idea in chiropractic for a reason, because it is. It's the biggest idea, right?
Yeah. Hey, Mark, let me ask you, you know, the evolution of healthcare or the way medical doctors, were so insurance dependent, and then chiropractors were not, and then we became insurance dependent. And now what we're seeing is the medical profession that, and this is not bashing them, this is just what's so.
Yeah.
They would say, vitamins don't work, chiropractic doesn't work, eat a balanced diet and you'll be fine and all that. All of a sudden, we're seeing medical doctors do a lot of cash based programs. they're actually dispensing nutrition. They're actually doing anti-aging and longevity medicine. They're,
Oh,
all
sure.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And are you seeing chiropractors become more cash based maybe
Oh,
these
yeah.
days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I cash is still king. Always was,
Yeah.
by the way. And,
Bitcoin. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
and, so truly, um, this paradigm that we're in, even if there is insurance coverage, understand, folks, that it's not health care insurance, it's sickness care insurance. So it's designed for when things break and there is a crisis,
Mhm.
and God forbid you have a cancer or a tumor or
Mhm.
whatever. That's what insurance is for.
Mm,
And what we do is health. And so promoting health and um, supporting health, that is not covered by insurance. It never was covered by insurance,
right,
by the way.
right, right.
And so learning that, just like you got to exercise, you got to eat right, you got to think right. Yeah, you got to, you brush your teeth, you got to get your spine adjusted. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff, and you got to pay for it and pay for it yourself. And thank God you have crisis care for when there's a crisis. But
Mhm.
how much better to never hit the crisis?
Yes,
Never
yes.
hit the crisis. My dad's 89 years old this year, going strong, man, going strong. He's
That's great.
in his, I think, 58th or 59th year as a chiropractor. Man, still gives a great adjustment. When
Wow.
you go to
Awesome.
the Santa house on the holidays, right? There's always the train of up to see Papa to get and I feel bad. I'm like, hey, I know how to adjust you, but everybody lines up to Papa, like starting with the littlest kids. They like Superman jump. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Onto the
Get their
table.
adjustments first, right? And
Yeah.
there's a reason, right? Kids would never do that if it hurt or it didn't feel right. They know.
Mhm.
Your kids will ask you, right, guys? But Daddy, I need an adjustment. How do they
Mm.
know? They need.
Yeah.
They know. They know. As a chiropractor when you need an adjustment. I tell chiropractors, do you know when you need an adjustment? They go, of course. I said, that's what you have to teach your patients, how to recognize that feeling
Mm,
when you feel like, oh, you know what? I think I need an adjustment. When
Mhm.
you've done that, then you got it. You've nailed
Mhm.
it. That person, they're set up for success for life, right?
Mhm.
Um, so
So, Mark, on that, I like where you're going with this. So, we're close to wrapping up, but could you provide like three, bits of business acumen or strategies that maybe any healthcare provider should employ now into their regular practices? Anything in particular? Just fair
yeah,
game.
sure. I'm going to try and keep track of three things. Okay, number one, nobody is as smart as all of us together,
oh,
meaning
Mm.
top-down management doesn't work.
Woo-hoo! That was good, man.
And if you think you got all the answers, you've got a problem. So make sure that you establish an open communication where the people who are in the various roles in your business, in your practice, feel very comfortable and free to contribute to the overall success and well-being of the practice, and that you don't quash that, don't make people wrong, and make sure you set aside time to listen and implement, right? Can't just
Mhm.
listen and then not do it, right? You got to work on your business, not just in your business. Too many chiropractors don't set aside practice building hours. That's number two.
Mm.
So everybody knows their hours for business, right? No matter what businesses you're in, chiropractor, they're probably on your window, on your sign, when I'm open to see patients. You don't play, Spence, you were just out with all the football people, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
football, you don't discuss the rules in the middle of the game. You don't make new rules in the middle of the game. You play the game, but how many hours are you practicing off the field just for the game? A lot more.
Mm,
That's
so true.
So,
fantastic.
how many
Good.
people think you can just go to the office, show up at 8, see patients, and that this thing is going to work on Super Bowl level? It's not.
Mm,
You
That's
got to
perfect.
set aside,
great.
and I
Yeah.
mean book them like
Yeah.
sacred time, Tuesday and Thursday, whatever, an hour each morning. I'm working on the practice, implementing the practice, right? Working to grow my team. So that would be number 2. Number 3, have a plan.
Mm.
Having a plan is essential to the success of anything, right? Fail to plan, you're planning to fail, right? So, what do I mean by that? Is there are seasons in a career, right? There's spring, summer, winter, fall. So, spring, you're planting, getting the soil tilled, growing your, it's a startup business, right? That means I'm doing everything. I'm emptying the garbage pails. I'm answering the phones. I'm do whatever, it's scheduling patients, doing the adjust, whatever it takes. Summer, I start to harvest, right? And I'm starting to grow. Be very careful as those seasons go. You get peak growth time in summer. Make sure you're saving in the summer of your career, right? Setting aside saving. Don't just keep buying, 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 spending, 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 right? Set aside. And then when it's fall, that's your mature time. That's where, God bless us, we are now. In You're at the peak of your smarts, you're at the peak of your game, the peak of your earning power. Make sure you maximize it, learn how to scale it smartly, right? Learn how to make sure you have a legacy that lives beyond you. Don't let your last day in your practice be you fall over dead on a heart attack on a patient,
Oh,
right?
right.
Happens, right?
Yeah.
Carry out on a board. Make sure you've got a plan so that when you get to the winter now, you can retire in practice, seeing the patients you love to see. You can do the things you want to take summer off and go visit and travel and motorcycle across the country. God bless you. Go do it, right?
Mhm.
And having a plan in place with your financial advisor, with a coach, even is really, really key so that you know where you are starting, where you are right now, and where you're going. So you know when you get there, right?
Mm,
You know, it's. I'm going to wrap it up with something that I believe is a metaphor that will really deliver home this whole message you presented. Dr. Terry and are we mainly do sports injuries, and we treat athletes that have tremendous potential. Their athleticism is unbelievable. But there's one thing that all athletes have in common, and that's a coach. They all have a coach, and whether it be a life coach or a business coach or a relationship coach, you have been kind of pretty much all that wrapped up in one big ball of breakthrough coaching. So I really think that even the new healthcare provider establishes an understanding and business acumen to start with forever.
hmm
And then a seasoned doctor
Absolutely.
needs that
Yeah.
injection to blow up again.
Yeah.
I really like that.
How do they find you, Mark? I mean, is it if people that resonate and listen to this and they go, "Hey, I'm a little lost. I need to get back on track." I got that the narrative got into my head and I need to get it out. How do they find you to help you so you can help them navigate?
So the great thing about being named Mark Santa is you can find me anywhere. So Google me, I come up first. But you Facebook me, I come up right there. And there's only one other guy, God bless him, Mark Santa is head of security of Hilton Hotels. So it's not him.
Not the guy
The
you
other
want.
Mark Santa.
Yeah.
And you can find me. And I love, especially on a podcast like this, Facebook message me. Um, uh, those are great ways that you can find me and reach out to me. And I always respond back. And I love connecting with people and I love connecting people. So
Yeah.
one of the things I really love doing, if you're thinking about seeing a chiropractor, I know a lot of chiropractors, folks, and I'm super happy to tap you in to a chiropractor that I trust, that I would go to, that I would send my family to.
Awesome.
So I'm happy to do that for you also.
Awesome.
Thanks, Mark.
We really
That was
appreciate that.
great. Oh,
You
fantastic.
know what? Not too bad for a Florida guy. I was actually impressed.
Florida man, Florida man.
You know,
Yeah.
you talk about oxygen. You guys, you're at sea level, and you have that thick air. You know, I have mountains out here, so we have a different kind of air out here. We don't have that humidity, you know, but we still got some air out here. So no, we really appreciate your time and thank you, because what you just said, I reached out to you, and I think I first tried to get you through Facebook or one of those. I don't
Yeah,
know, and you responded back.
I
So
did.
my partner didn't help a lot, but at least I was able to get in touch with you, and so I really appreciate you, because you actually did reach out, and you're a man of your word. So I really appreciate that, and I'd love to have you back, because if we can use this platform to help others, I think that's what my partner and I want to do. We want to help not just chiropractors, but everybody in the world of health, because if you're in that business of healthcare, whether you're a nurse, you're a PT, you're an athletic trainer, you're a personal trainer, you're an MD, you're still helping people. And we want to help people get healthy. And so anytime we can help people get healthy mentally, physically, nutritionally, that's our game. So we appreciate you being part of our family, helping other people.
Thank you so much, guys. I love you both.
All right, love you too.
Thanks,
Take
Mark.
care, buddy.
Appreciate you. All right. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Kraken Backs podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and make sure you follow our Instagram at the Kraken Backs podcast. Catch new episodes every Monday and Thursday. See you next time.